What's up, Ryan? This is Keaton Everett with ABC, going over your pitching video from camp. We're going to go through and look at your motion, your delivery, and talk about a few things. But overall, it's pretty solid, especially for your age. Everything's looking pretty good. So pretty impressed with it. So attaboy, good work on that. But we'll go through and sort of stop the video and look at a few things, draw some lines, and sort of make sure we're doing everything right, and look at a couple ways we can kind of improve ourselves. Especially at your age, pitching's all about getting consistent. It's about repeating your delivery and sort of getting everything in line, getting the balance, getting the posture right. Not really worrying so much about your hips, your shoulder separation, because it's something that comes when you get older. You get a little bit more coordinated. And get a little bit more strength in you, but I'll kind of explain that a little bit more as we go along, but we'll go back here to the start. Alright, so setup, we look at setup. Setup's just as important as everything else. Your setup's doing pretty good. We'll go and draw a box over your head, line over your back foot. So what we look at here is balance. Look at posture. We don't want to see anything going back as we start. We don't want to see anything going forward as we start. So as we tick along here, alright, you can see your head stay over that back leg, which is good. Alright, everything's pretty solid here. Alright, you really swing this back leg up here. Ideally, I'd like to see it just stay to about right here. You can see you kind of get a little bit turned out here. Alright, that's just a little bit excessive. It's going to cause some inconsistencies with you. So try not to let that foot kind of swing past your knee. Just think, that this foot is just kind of dangling down. It's just like if you got a string on your knee, you're kind of pulling it diagonally up. So just kind of watch that. But again, this is a good spot for your hips to be in. All right, eyes are on the target. All right, everything's looking pretty solid here. So now the whole timing is to break your hands and to start your hips and to get going. Now, one thing too is I notice here as we see the hands, and you can see them push out away from your body as you break your hands. All right. We don't want to have any movement out with our hands. You just kind of want to feel like they're not touching your chest, but they're kind of a little bit closer to your chest, and that ball comes straight out from there, not out and around. All right. So just make sure that you're kind of keeping that glove a little bit closer to your chest as you break your hands. But that's it. It's nothing too major, but it's something that, again, it's just all about inconsistencies. The more something travels, the more movements we do, it's just harder at a time. You'll see guys in the big leagues, have the big windmill deliveries, big movements here, but that's something that they developed throughout the years. I guarantee they didn't do that, when they were young kids learning to play baseball. Just too hard to time everything. So. Just something to work on. All right, now I kind of mentioned the lower half, how we aren't too worried about it here. The hip-shoulder separation. So the hip, I'll go through real quick, is the hip-shoulder separation is, the ability for your hips to start turning before your upper body, and you can see that you're actually doing a really good job. All right, so like I said, everything's pretty advanced for your age, so that's good. But the one thing that we do see here is if we're drawing a straight line, it's kind of tough to draw a straight line too because it's a little bit of an angle, but you can see you're popping out a little bit. All right, so you're landing a little bit open, and you're landing a little bit out over that front foot. So once that front foot hits the ground right here, you can see how your knee is sort of over your ankle here. Take back a frame there, and you can see how your upper body is starting to turn a little bit. All right, so ideally at this point, we'd be landing somewhere about right here, all right, but we want to try to land with that foot out in front of that knee a little bit. So you just kind of work on getting a little bit more extension, so maybe you're right here a little bit more, all right, and then this front elbow, hasn't rotated yet, so you're just staying closed a little bit longer. And again, that's a strength thing, and like I said, it's not worrisome to me to really kind of harp on, but the biggest thing is just to work on staying in line. All right, so just draw a line with your cleats down the mound and just work on trying to get around that line, and that'll help you out a lot. That you lose a lot of power popping open early. And again, the strength isn't there, and that's just sort of what your body has to do to kind of make everything work. But the more you kind of work on it and focus on it, the easier it's going to be as you get stronger. But solid angles here. It looks like everything's good. No injury red flags. And then through your release point, because you're kind of popping open early, and because you're young too, you're going to see this back foot pop up off the ground before your release point. All right, so you can see that back foot's coming up off the ground. We'll reverse a few frames so you can see it kind of popping up early. All right, and that's because you're getting out front. You're getting out early. And then here's your release point. You can see this leg kind of curled up right here. All right, your body's at this angle. Your leg's almost straight. So you're creating this right here. And what we want to try to see is your back leg still on the ground straight, creating an angle, again, using that lower half, using those legs. So you're right here. And then because you're out a little bit farther, a little bit closed, you're still going to have some bend in your knee. All right. And then you're going to release, and then that knee's going to straighten up. All right. So everything's just a little bit early. You're just losing a little bit of that lower half. But again, this is something that just might not be, possible for you at this age. But it's just something that you can still kind of work on and sort of get the understanding, the basis for everything. So when that strength comes, you're able to really get rolling and get ahead of everyone else, because, everything else is pretty much already there for you. So now it's just sort of a matter of those few little tweaks to get everything rolling for you. So, hopefully you kind of get a couple ideas here and work on a few things. But again, overall pretty solid and good to see. So hopefully you're going to have a great season this year. Thanks for making it out to camp. I hope you had a great time, and hopefully we'll see you with ABC.